universe had a beginning and will inevitably come to an end sometime in the future. That great truth was openly revealed in the Quran, which was sent down some 1,400 years ago. The universe will one day definitely come to an end. In other words, doomsday will inevitably come. There is no question about it. And the hour is coming without any doubt. We did not create the heavens and earth and everything between them except with truth. The hour is certainly coming. The perfect order that has functioned perfectly for billions of years is the work of the Lord, who created everything. And this order will come to a glorious end at His command at a time that He has determined. The entire universe and everything in it, animate or inanimate, from the largest to the very smallest, will be destroyed. Along with the announcement of the end of the world, the Quran contains a detailed description of the stages of that event. When the heavens are rent asunder, when the sea is set on fire, when the mountains are ripped up and scattered, when the sun is extinguished. The end of the world will be a catastrophe such as the world has never experienced before. It is clear from some verses of the Quran that the inevitable end of the world has excited interest in every period of history. People sought to learn the time of doomsday from the Prophet Muhammad. They will ask you about the hour. When is it due? The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was commanded to answer this question in this way: knowledge of it rests with my Lord alone. Together with keeping the time of doomsday a secret from man, God revealed to the Prophet Muhammad certain events and portents that would indicate the time was approaching. Establishment of the hour, there will be much al-harj, and al-harj means killing. The last hour will not come unless there is much bloodshed. Bosnia, Palestine, Chechnya, Afghanistan, Kashmir. Great cities will be ruined, and it will be as if they had not existed the day before. In the previous section, we saw how the military technology developed in the 20th century had wreaked terrible harm on mankind. The very worst effects of that were seen in the big cities. Nuclear weapons, bombs with bomb, wiped 2 Japanese cities off the face of the map. European capitals were razed to the ground as a result of constant bombing. History has witnessed unmatched destruction in the countless wars of the 20th century. The destruction wreaked on crowded population centers has not come from human hands alone. Some major cities have been obliterated by natural disasters. Earthquakes, hurricanes, and whirlwinds have caused enormous damage in many settled areas all over the world. At this point, researchers reveal a most astonishing truth. Our age has witnessed an unbelievable rise in the scale and number of natural disasters. When all the natural disasters recorded all through history are examined, their size and scale are vastly different to those of the 20th century. This is another proof that the doomsday pointed to in the Hadith is at hand. The last day will not be established until earthquakes will be very frequent. Section, we looked at the disasters that have struck big cities and saw how such disasters, both man-made in the form of war and natural disasters, have destroyed whole cities. The poor will grow in number. Gains will be shared out only among the rich, with no benefit to the poor. According to the figures, for the year 2000, 826 million people in the world are undernourished. In other words, 1 out of every 6 people is starving. There will be prevalence of open, illegal sexual intercourse. The hour will come when adultery becomes widespread. Men will imitate women, and women will imitate men. The most important element that binds societies together and regulates human relations at the ideal levels is moral values. The rapid rise and spread of homosexuality is particularly noteworthy. Homosexuals these days are able to organize on a world scale, establish associations and political parties, even officially marry in some countries, and wage war on religious beliefs by opposing sacred beliefs. As we have seen, homosexuality has today reached its most widespread and highest levels in the 14 centuries between the time of God's messenger and the present. There will come a time upon the Ummat when people will recite the Quran, but it will not go further than their throats, into their hearts. There will come a time for my people when the mosques will be full of people, but they will be empty of right guidance. One of the most important portents of the end times is the all but complete abandonment of the religion of God and the morality of the Quran. The end of times is when the verses of the Quran will be ignored. False rules will be brought in God's name. There will be sectarianism in religion. Destiny will be denied. Worship will be carried out purely for show, and religion will be used as a means to private ends. These signs were revealed by our prophet 1,400 years ago. The hour will come when people believe in the stars and reject El-Qadar, the divine decree of destiny. There will come a time for my people when there will remain nothing of the Quran except its outward form, and nothing of Islam except its name. And they will call themselves by this name, even though they are the people furthest from it. Divorces will be a daily occurrence. There will be an abundance of illegitimate children. With its social collapse. These details include: the hour will not be established until murders will increase. The time will be years of confusion. People will believe a liar and disbelieve one who tells the truth. People will distrust one who is trustworthy and trust one who is treacherous. Verily, in the presence of the last hour, there would be false testimony and concealing evidence. Deceit and cheating will be common. Bribes will be called gifts and will be considered lawful. Lived, and that of our own time. Despite this, the hadiths of our prophet have revealed a great many technological advances that will be made in the end times. Let us now have a look at these technological advances. At that time, lifespans will grow longer. The average life expectancy is now much greater than it has ever been in the 1,400 years since our prophet gave these tidings. There is even a great difference in this regard between the beginning and the end of the 20th century. The development of health services due to the advance of medical technology had made such a gain possible. In addition, development in genetic science and the rapidly advancing Human Genome Project are about to begin a totally new era in the field of health. These advances are on such a scale that the people who lived in earlier times could never even have conceived of them. The hour will not be established till the people compete with one another in constructing high buildings. If we look at the history of architecture and engineering, we see that multi-storied buildings began to be constructed towards the end of the 19th century. Technological progress, the spread of steel and the use of electric lifts have accelerated the building of skyscrapers. The last day will not be established until time will pass quickly. Great distances will be traversed in short spans of time. In our time, supersonic aircraft, trains, and other advanced vehicles can travel in a few hours the distance it used to take months to cross, and they can do it more easily, The last hour will not come before time contracts, a year being like a month. Last day will not come until a person's own voice speaks to him. One of our prophet's hadiths points to the development of communications technology in these terms. For a person to hear his own voice, first it has to be recorded and then listened to. Voice recording and reproduction technology are products of the 20th century. Other hadiths indicating the development in communications technology that will be experienced in the approach of the last day read, "A voice will call him by name, and even people in the east and west will hear it. This voice will spread over the entire world, and every nation will hear it in their own language." A voice from the sky that everyone will hear in his own language. These hadiths mention a voice that will be heard throughout the whole world in everyone's own language. Evidently, this refers to radio, television, and other such methods of communication. It is a miracle that 1,400 years ago, the prophet referred to a development that was unimaginable even 100 years ago. So far in this film, we have been looking at portents of doomsday in the light of the hadiths handed down to us by the Prophet Muhammad. And we have seen that indeed the period we are living in is that indicated as the end times, just before the last day. However, the hadiths are not the only statements to contain clues about the last day. A great many verses in the Quran also deal with the subject. Praise be to God. He will show